That's Becky's favourite meal.
You're going to love it then, a couple of years back.
When we get children that we look after, our own families are our support groups, but what nobody ever thinks about is the children in our families who are with these children.
The pink one. Where you were baby, you only had that.
We thought we waited to the right time to foster because we prepared our children because we child-minded and then we did crisis care, so we thought we did it all right.
Sharing's been difficult at times in the past, particularly when I was quite young. Just sharing personal items, maybe a piece of clothing, or even knowing that, you know, they're using our towels, face flannels, things like that, which to us are quite personal. Maybe another child hasn't really even owned a towel, or, you know, and has had to come in and share our things.
And then one day, my son, who was 8 when I started to foster, he did a talk for the Choosing to Foster course where other people were going to be foster carers.
I would grow out of things, particularly clothes or, you know, bits of necklaces or jewellery and things, and they may be passed on if children want them. And usually children do, because, you know, maybe they've come from a kind of background where they haven't had things, or particularly presents.
And they started asking questions in the town hall, and the questions, and he said, they said, how do you feel about your mum doing it? Which we'd all asked him for years. He said, I thought my mum didn't love me and that she was actually replacing me. And he was the youngest in our family.
As we all grew up as young children, there wasn't a lot of swearing or negative behaviour, or, you know, nothing like that. So when you see that, then it's quite shocking. And I think, you know, us as, you know, myself and my brother and my sister, we had to get used to that, you know. Not that it was acceptable, but that's the way that child had lived. And, you know, we had to all learn to change, you know, and adapt to the situation at the time.
So I suppose he thought, well, she's had more children and he was my 4th. And he actually assumed that. And, you know, that was absolutely heartbreaking. Right in the middle of this big group, I think it was about 30 people, I started crying. And I thought, why didn't you ever tell me that? And he said he didn't really know that that's what he thought.
I cooked pizza and chips the other day and she was moaning about it.
And you cook eggs, don't you, quite well?
Real benefits, more for the other children, would be the fact that they're in a family, that they can just learn some basic life skills, sharing, you know, how to cook an egg, who loves them, who's going to say good morning to them, you know, in the morning, you know, who's going to put them to bed, you know, last thing, you know, things like that. That's probably more beneficial for them.
But without my children, I couldn't do it. They are completely and absolutely supportive to Robbie and I, and Toots also. So my daughter helps out with the cleaning in the house. She's good with the children. She's actually a nanny herself.
For us, you know, it just probably makes us, hopefully, into better people. You know, kinder, a bit more accepting about things. And
my youngest son is 21. He's marvellous with them. My older son has 3 boys and includes all my children in his family, birthdays, activities, barbecues, anything. My other daughter in London comes down. They're all completely involved. Oh, I was dying for that. How'd you got today, Rich?
I've got a 10-hour art exam coming up.
A 10-hour exam? What science? I've got grandchildren who are very attached to my children. And when these children move on, how do I explain to my granddaughter and my grandsons, you know, they've gone to a different home, that somebody else needs them? I'm doing a course in London at the moment about moving children on. And one of the things we are focusing on, because we've asked for it, is how do we deal with our own children and our grandchildren, our families? Because that heartache will remain. They're growing up together.
Choose a topic.
Yeah, we've got to do 3 cultures like Jews doing Native American and independent.
For the younger children, we could have workshops with play therapy. What they're going to experience is loss. They're going to experience grief and loss, and they're not going to understand it. And they've got to then trust the adults in their life, who are their own parents and their grandparents, as I am. And I've got to make that right. I can't just, neglect that, because that's their future. And also, when the new children come in, they're going to think, oh, well, these ones will be going as well. I mean, what will they think? We'll go next? How do we reassure them? I just think they need to have a built-in programme for children.
I would help my mum out in terms of respite for my mum with the children that she fosters, but for becoming my own foster parent, I don't know. I'd like to be there for my own family at first, for the first initial years, I've got a young daughter, so at the moment, no, I would say no. But who knows what's going to happen in the future. My mum is a very big influence on me, so.
It's a life thing. It's an addiction, actually, fostering. You couldn't get away with not doing it. It's an adrenaline thing.